joining us today on Coastal Progressive and Rainbow Forum on Society Bites Radio. Today, we will be speaking with Pam COACHMAN, and she is the candidate for City of Bradenton, Ward 5, District 5. And Pam, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
And let's start out here with telling the people, our listeners, a little bit about your background and what made you to decide to run for this position here.
Okay. I am a fourth-generation resident in Bradenton. My family is deeply rooted, and I have watched the area from the 60s to the current time make quite a few changes. I have grandchildren living here, and I truly want the area to still be a place to live and raise a family. Some of my background is, number one, being a mom, and number two, professionally, I'm a speech language pathologist, and I currently work with the Manatee County School District. I have worked with the Manatee Clerk of Courts office with the teen court program, which allowed me to really get involved with the youth of the area. And there are definitely some concerns to make sure that there is a viable environment for them to grow into being successful and respectful adults. I returned to Bradenton in 2004 to take care of my terminally ill mother. Prior to that, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and I did get to see metropolitan life as well. They have nothing on Bradenton. Same concerns, the same needs, but Bradenton is my home, so I definitely want to be a part of making sure that our residents and our community is a safe community. There are thousands of reasons why I chose to run for public office. For one thing, local government really has an immediate impact on a community. And if you don't have local government officials that have the interests of all, then you're going to have some inequities. There are going to be some areas getting things and some areas not. And to me, Ward 5 is probably one of the most diverse parts of the city. We've got a little of everything. I feel it's important that they are heard, and I feel it's important that their voices are heard, they're recognized and protected, as well as any other segment of the community. I could go on and on about why, but there are just so many things that, even though it's 2020, that we need to work on. Equitability is not across the board for all.
Right. And you can see that if people who go through Ward 5 or see the area of the city this is in, it's obvious that it's not one of the best areas of the city, and it certainly could be stand for some improvement in that area. There's all kinds of things that could be done there to help out, and like you say, if you don't get heard or don't get noticed, then you're not going to get some of the same services that other parts of the city are also receiving, and you're going to be neglected and put down at the bottom of the list until you get those services, until you have good, solid representation in that area. And I'm not knocking the president representation, but I'm just saying that you need to look at things in a maybe a manner which can bring more people to the board. I mean, to the on board with what has to be done in that area.
Yes.
Do you have some ideas there that you want to share with us about some things that you specifically would like to do in the area that could help start the transformation? And with COVID-19 now, of course, when we're doing this interview, it's still a very serious situation for us, and probably will be for a long time to come. But
Yeah.
even with that consideration, we are going to be returned to normal someday, or some degree of normalcy. And what are some of the thoughts and ideas that you have that could help out in that area?
Well, there are some things that are you might want to say overlooked in Ward 5, but it very well could be that because people are not communicating, or the communication between the council and the residents isn't as effective. I think one of the first things is to have the residents support. This is important, and there are ways to be heard, and you need elected officials. I mean, there's a council. It shouldn't just be one person concerned, one council member concerned about Ward 5. There should be a consensus, and until you are heard and until your voices are projected at the table, things won't occur. And there's so many things all around the city that are impacting the daily lives outside of the current pandemic. But the growth prior to the COVID-19, Manatee County was experiencing overwhelming growth, and the demand for that growth has not been met. And not to say that the current council is not aware of that. It's just that they might need to be reminded a little bit more. The overwhelming growth is impacting infrastructure. The housing situation, affordable housing, is a demand on its own. Communication between law enforcement and the residents, having a working relationship as opposed to an adverse situation. I definitely would like for the issue about infrastructure and the possibility and another method to reduce the traffic situation, that needs to really be considered, that how that impacts the immediate area. Some historical neighborhood, and how it will impact businesses. It's just such a realm of things that the council could be looking at in terms of helping the community have a better quality of life.
Right. And, we have a lot, we all know we have work to do in that area. And what, if you were to be elected here, what might be some of your top, let's say you can name your top 3 priorities, maybe. I don't put you on the spot, but what would be 3 things that you would see that might be able to, you might be able to make a difference in?
Well, what I definitely first would want to do is to somehow incorporate better communication between the entire Ward 5. I mean, sometimes when we think of Ward 5, we think of a particular segment, but I feel all segments should be heard. And it would be great to have periodic or quarterly town hall type events so that the elected official can keep their thumb on the pulse of what's going on. So communication is a really big deal for me. And I think then that would lead into understanding the needs and where we have to really work. I know a lot of emphasis has been on having a neighborhood grocery store in segments of Ward 5 where transportation is not, the best, and those residents need something close by, kind of neighborhood, kind of grocer. So that's something to look at. And instead of concentrating on some large company, maybe have some incentives for some of the small local grocers that have been here for years, enable them to either renovate or expand so that there is more to offer in that area. I think even though we have a great system, there is some room for improvement. We still have elderly people and young people who do not have automobiles, and actually city transit would be great in also reducing the influx of traffic. So communication, availability to services, and working with the small business, and affordable housing, I think I would say are the top three. There seems to be no middle, and there's high end or not very quality low end housing. So we really need to work on either going in and bringing back the CC to be in place. And at that time, there was quite a bit of development. They were helping remodel older homes, or even sometimes replacing them. So there's just a need to provide better, affordable, attainable housing.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head, because you may or may not know that I am president of the Housing Coalition here, and we have a lot of people that I'm very aware that are missing out on attainable housing, affordable or attainable housing, whichever you want to call it, because we have a huge. We moved about 40-some people from our client base over to Florida, and that was a big move for us when we came here back a number of years ago, and we've still not been able to build the project we wanted to build in this area. But now we have hopes that things have straightened out to a point, until COVID-19 came along anyway, and that may delay us again a little bit. But we are going to make an official announcement here. We have internally announced to people that we are moving forward, and but we're going to be announcing shortly publicly that we are officially here. We've made a few public appearances, not very many to this point because of COVID-19, but even before COVID-19 came out. And we are a nonprofit, and we are going to be working